Started off, I was born on a farm in Colorado, a three-generation farm, so I spent some time learning the skills as a farm boy. And being in Colorado, obviously I took advantage of the great outdoors and spent a lot of time as a youth, both fishing and hunting in the mountains of Colorado and Wyoming, where I really got an appreciation of nature and the beauty that one can see there. And it also created a lot of stories that I now find myself trying to replicate in painting. From there, I went into a long career of working in public safety, where I had both good and bad times. Bad times being I spent some time as a homicide investigator, SWAT commander, so I saw the tough side of society in general and what people can do to each other, but I also saw what good people can do. And that kind of led me to my second career, which was moving into education, where I spent some time teaching at the high school level and then the university level, when I finally decided to retire and begin to paint full time. I've often been asked, hey, did you ever attend any sort of art schools? And I said, no, I have not. And basically it's all self-taught or gained through watching other painters or reading books, whatever I could to gain some of the information I needed to learn how to paint. And one thing I really began to appreciate early is art comes from the soul. It basically, all artists, I think, even modern art, tends to try to tell a story or convey some sort of message to the viewer. If that is lacking, then maybe you just have some simple design concept or whatever, and perhaps it doesn't really meet the definition that I would say is true art. Now that said, I want to start off this series of videos and kind of give you a step-by-step of how I approach painting, which again began with simple drawing. Everything I can remember as a child doing crayons and watercolors and hand painting, whatever I could to express myself. And then even through my career, when I was in public safety or in education, I still painted occasionally. It was great to relieve the stress, or to, I guess the best term would be to escape beyond reality, go back into the past or to another place in the United States. Painting wildlife paintings and some of the beauty I saw as a child, or today I enjoy the outdoors. The same way with some of the other issues regarding how people treat people, and there's always a message somewhere, and I try to depict that, even back into the Old West. I paint a lot of Western, and basically I would prefer to call it art of history, because again it's an effort to tell a story. So in each painting you will see some form of story. Before we get started, I just want to show you a few things that I have created so that you know that what I basically is going to preach or give you examples for, I come from experience. I've obviously started off very simplistic, and probably there will be people out there that says, hey, this guy still paints simplistic, but I love it, I enjoy it, and I hope you will, whether you're a brand new person, artist exploring, trying to come up with a new hobby, or whether you're experienced, you will understand some of the efforts I went through. Let me give you a couple examples. This one here was painted this last year, 2023, and it's a typical kind of a Western type painting, and you can see basically horses, which are really common to Western type, and people like horses. I love horses. I used to raise horses, But I would ask, what kind of story is in that here? What am I trying to depict? What makes this a little different than the other art you might see? First thing you'll notice, it's not the typical outdoor type Western scene. It seems to be three horses inside perhaps a cave. You can actually see some entry, kind of a waterfall coming down through and water. And what I'm trying to depict, and I've seen them in nature, is wild mustangs that are found throughout the West. And, you know, they tend to live in a more remote area, so they desire water and food like every other creature. And a lot of the remote areas don't have a lot of water, but they know where to find it. And so if it happens to be inside of a cave, perhaps an old mine or something like that, that has a spring, they'll seek it out. They can smell it and move to it. They will also gain minerals, minerals they need to be healthy from such water, because it's coming through the minerals and gets into the water. And so that's kind of what this is. It's a story about mustangs, obviously, but also a story of survival. What is needed? Water, minerals, companionship, and a certain amount of security in your life. The second one that I wanted to show you was recently completed. Gotta set this aside. And I'm fascinated with basically wildlife and basically the mother that wants to protect her children. Humans want to do the same thing. So this is a typical kind of a lion scene, but rather than painting the male lion as typically you see, I needed a story, and I wanted to tell a story of a mother's love and also the children that are dependent on that mother. And so these are African lions, the two cubs, and notice the affection being saw, but also notice the suspicion or guardian attitude that the mother has towards anyone approaching her young cubs. This one is a little more adventurous over here. He's, and I'm saying he because it was depicted as a young male, looking forward to the time that he might become the Lion King or the leader of the pack. And the other one's female, so you basically have brother and sister, mother, and the mother is in a very protective mode. There's another thing being said in here. Notice that the shrubbery and the content of the actual painting is a little more full than the African savanna. She is so protective of her young cubs that she frequently will hide them for up to a month, maybe a little more, and occasionally venture out to seek food, but she keeps them protected because there's a very high threat to young cubs, and not too many of them make to maturity. Not only other wildlife like hyenas and things like this will go after them. Obviously disease may be involved, but also male lions and other lion dens will attack them if they can find them. So she's very protective. So there's two stories that are depicted in paintings, and that's the desire that I have for this series. And I'll go through